And we're live. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cinema Savvy News. It is me doing the intro again, magic, because I'm not napping this time because what happened last week. For those that don't know, we're all doing this news show, but I do the intros and I fell asleep before we hit record last week and didn't come on. But thankfully I sent you all the schedule, so it wasn't completely destroyed without me. So yes, I'm George, obviously from Cinema Savvy. I'm also joined with Chris, who isn't doing the intro, and we are joined by Tate. And we are going to be talking plenty of news. Anyone joining late who has seen our thumbnail, then the main story is Han Solo spin-off changes directors. This has been a massive news story, which I'm not going to go into now because I'm just going to say we've got a lot of stuff to go through today. We've got a box office breakdown, we've got trailer talk, but there is so much stuff to fly through. But literally the past day has all been Star Wars. It's been ridiculously insane, but I'm going to let you guys say hello first.
Yeah, well, first off, we always say this every week, but as it gets close to Thursday, we're always like, oh, it's going to be a really short show this week. We haven't had much news at all. And with your own Star Wars podcast as well, Ones with the Force, you were kind of having the same thing. There wasn't much Star Wars news until a couple of days ago. I remember I woke up early. I think I woke up at like 6:15 in the morning, went on Facebook quickly, saw the news, immediately linked it to you guys because it was just such a shock. Didn't expect it at all, and that's why, because we were originally going to talk about Venom. That was going to be our main news segment, but then this kind of completely just blew it out of the water.
Yeah, I was really shocked when I woke up and saw it on Reddit. To be honest, like I haven't really been following too closely with the Han Solo spin-off movie other than the main casting. But yeah, was really quite shocked when I found out how far into filming they were and how long they had left, and the fact they couldn't go those extra 3 weeks. So obviously there would have been some sort of arguments going from the start, because it would have been just a sudden thing to just drop the entire project. But it doesn't bode well for the film, which is concerning. Hopefully, with the new director already announced, Ron Howard, it should pick up good. Fingers crossed.
Yes. So I'm going to quickly, there's so much to say, I'm going to try and breeze through it. Well, not breeze, but because we actually haven't actually said outright what's happened, we're going to actually go through it first. First of all, for those that don't know, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who did the amazing Lego movie, who did the perfectly good remakes of the 21 Jump Street and an actual decent comedy sequel, 22 Jump Street, comedy directors were put on a Star Wars film, and they worked on said Star Wars film for 4 months of filming and probably about a year and a half of pre-production, from casting the new Han Solo to the supporting cast to obviously the script done by Lawrence Kasdan. We'll get to that later on. But they've been working on this for a year and a half, almost 2 years of their life. And 3 weeks before filming wraps, they have been, well, apparently due to creative differences, but we all know they've been sacked by Kathleen Kennedy. Let's just get out there and say it. I'm not going to get a lawsuit on me because it's strikingly obvious what's happened. And that was yesterday morning, and it was like a train wreck. Everyone's gone mental online because, you know, there's 3 weeks left of the first round of shooting. There's not even a first cut of the film out yet. And, you know, yesterday they were saying, okay, it's going to be Ron Howard or Joe Johnston's takeover. Today, they've confirmed it's Ron Howard, so at least they got it done within a day. Said it's going to come out on July the 10th. The filming is, to restart. It's going to keep its May release date, which is ballsy. I don't think we will get the May release date. But the main thing is that what's been said, it's been reported in a lot of places, and you get so many different reports that it's clearly right, is the big issue was the tone and the screenplay. For those that don't know, Lawrence Kasdan and his son have written the screenplay, and they apparently, well, Lawrence Kasdan is someone that likes his words to come from the page onto the screen, and these young, talented comedy directors like a bit of improv, and I'm sure they're following the story, but apparently it took them 4 months to realize that some bits of improv don't match the words on the pages, and I just sat there and thought, you know what, Lawrence Kasdan, he's clearly a man of integrity. The guy that's so obsessed with words from the pages coming onto the screen is the same guy that clearly wrote down I Know from Star Wars 5, which wasn't improv at all. And he clearly also wrote the Indiana Jones scene of when he shot the guy with the sword, because that wasn't improv either. No. It wasn't improv, people. It was clearly words on the page.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot more to this situation than they're letting on. I mean, we saw Phil Lord and Chris Miller last year at Star Wars Celebration. They seemed, I think they'd only just jumped on the project, hadn't they? Or they hadn't completely gone into filming. It was still very much in pre-production, but you can tell they were just having a blast with it. They were loving it. They were passionate about Star Wars, the Han Solo character, and more than any of the directors, more than even Gareth Edwards when he was announced for Rogue One. I was looking forward to their take on it because I love the Lego movie. I love their style of comedy, and I could see that blending well with Star Wars. It would have been very different, and maybe that's why Disney have gone against it, Kathleen Kennedy, because as much as I liked Rogue One, for example, and I didn't like Force Awakens, but Disney don't like change. If they've got a set formula, they will stick to it. They will always go with the safest option. We've seen that with Marvel films, and we have seen it with the 2 recent Star Wars films. So I'm wondering if that's playing a part in it with Rogue One, with the whole Gareth Edwards thing where they screened it. Disney clearly didn't like it. They said that was a question of tone, and I buy that because you can see some of the original elements, what would have been in Rogue One compared to what we actually got, and they reshuffled the film around for better or worse for the film. This one sounds like now it's just a mess. Again, Disney don't know what they want with this film, and it's clearly bullshit, all the excuses they've given, because creative differences wouldn't surface when 2 directors have been 4 months in production with only 3 weeks to go. So there's definitely a lot more to it. I don't think we'll ever know fully, in all honesty. I don't know if Disney have got something on lockdown. They won't let the directors say what really happened. They've both got integrity for both sides. But yeah, it's very weird. It's very strange at this stage.
I have to question, because Star Wars Celebration has been within the last 4 months, and obviously they were filming whilst Star Wars Celebration was still going on. And we didn't actually hear much of the Han Solo film from Star Wars Celebration, did we? So are you thinking that maybe they didn't want to reveal anything because they're already starting to think that this might not be as clean-cut project as possible?
I think that might be a part of it, because I also heard as well that recently there was something that came out about Colin Trevorrow, people's reservations about him directing Episode 9. Some people are thinking that this news has come out now to kind of take the heat off that, or take the shine away from, you know, Episode 9 and people's reservations on that. I think that would play a big part of it, because this year when I was watching Celebration, I knew that Episode 8 was going to be the focus, but I definitely thought we were going to get a look to the future as well, especially considering this movie's meant to come out the May after, you know, the December release date of Episode 8 this year.
Another thing I picked up on... Oh, yeah, very quickly. Another thing...
Sorry, I'll just... No, go first.
Well,
Go on first.
No, I've lost my train of thought. You go first.
I was just going to say that I think the reason they didn't show anything at Celebration was it was the anniversary, and it was also the obviously Last Jedi. D23 was coming next month, and you had a lot of people saying that, okay, clearly they're going to debut the name and some material at D23, and because that is July 14th, I expect that myself. If the film's come out in May next year, then it makes sense to release details around July time. But like Chris said, you don't get creative differences 4 months into filming. I mean, the other thing, if you look at Gareth Edwards, he was basically sacked, and the way they handled that was far more legitimate. He was able to hand in a first cut of said film, a complete cut. He said, okay, we don't like this tone, so we're going to change this. We're going to have these reshoots. Tony Gill is going to come in and fix that. However, let's keep our PR on the good side. Edwards was all over premieres, interviews, everything. Mm-hmm. To a degree, it's still Gareth Edwards' film, and clearly he's credited, and he should be credited, because it's probably 2/3 Edwards' film. To sack people without handing in a first cut 3 weeks before, I sat there and thinking, well, what's the point? I mean, let them hand in that rough cut and see how things are going. You know, there were other rumours that Kathleen Kennedy picked the side of Lawrence Kasdan because their history goes back to Raiders in the 80s and stuff like that. That's true, then I'd understand that to a degree. But again, I don't know how you can sack someone while they haven't finished their project. The next 3 weeks could have been the most important scenes of the production cycle. We don't know. It could be important scenes in production cycle, but I really think there's a lot more to this, and I cannot wait for more to come out. This feels... I haven't seen anything like this in a production cycle since Phantom Force Dick.
Yeah, same here. And, you know, if it is like the whole Disney control thing, which I'm assuming it is, sometimes I just wish they'd take a step back and just let the fucking filmmakers make the movie they want to make. It's really frustrating. I mean, they do this with Marvel films. Even like going back to like Iron Man 2 with like Mickey Rourke, he spoke out very openly about how controlling Marvel was over the entire film. And it's just the same here. It seems like they have that set formula, and I'd just like them to see them take a risk. Well, so what if it's different? So what if it's more comedic than the other Star Wars movies? That's not necessarily a bad thing. Now they're doing these spin-off movies. This is the right opportunity to explore new territory, to do new things, to distance themselves from the episode numbered the numbered episode, sorry, of Star Wars, and take some creative chances. And you know, maybe this would have been more comedic and fun, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. So I don't know. Ron Howard, though, himself, he is a great director. He's a very inconsistent director, very much like Ridley Scott. For every inferno he makes in The Heart of the Sea, for example, you do get a Beautiful Mind. He made Willow, one of my favorite 80s films, and Apollo 13. Yeah, Rush as well. Yeah. So he's a fantastic director. Whether he's suited to Star Wars, though, he definitely wouldn't have been in my top 10 choices for directors. But with only 3 weeks to go, I'm sure they're going to do reshoots as well, because clearly Phil Lord and Chris Miller's film and tone of that film isn't going to be the same as Ron Howard's vision. I just really hope it's not a confused mess once they get it into the editing room.
I want to go ahead and say, like, the one thing that gets me here is they brought in Ron Howard after 1 day.
Yeah,
I'm thinking here that they possibly went behind the back and just said, look, I don't think this is working out. We need to find a director. They probably called up Ron Howard. Okay, if these guys do leave the project, or if we fire them for the project, can you immediately come on? And yeah, because this basically could have been entered into exactly the same news cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it happened within 24 hours of each other. So I reckon they already had them on hand, maybe for a week or so. Just ready on call. Just as soon as we've had enough with them, we'll take them out and you guys step in.
Yeah.
I mean, with Ron Howard, the thing I like is that it's a fitting circle that he was in American Graffiti, one of the lead roles, George Lucas's second ever film. And then, obviously, him being friends with George Lucas, I believe, produced Willow, which was Ron Howard's first film. And Ron Howard also revealed that George Lucas did ask him to direct The Phantom Menace during pre-production, which Ron Howard passed on. So in some bizarre way, there's a kind of circle of life here that Ron Howard has made it to Star Wars, created by his old good mate. But it's such a weird one, because at the end of the day, I do like The Force Awakens, but Disney, you know, Kathleen Kennedy, she's a fantastic producer. She's ruthless, and clearly in this stage of the ruthless, they get results. And it's not a situation like, I'm not to talk about DC, but it was, oh, okay, we'll fix it next time. This is Star Wars. No, we don't have a next time. We have right now to fix it right now and get it sorted by May. And there's that side that, okay, this could come out as a perfect film, but we're now, just like Rogue One, doesn't matter how great this film is, we will always be asking in the background, I would love to see the original take on this film. Doesn't matter how good it is. And another thing, since Disney took over Star Wars, they've hired 7 directors to work on these films.
Jesus.
We have had J.J. Abrams, who made it through. Ryan Johnson, who made it through. We had Gareth Edwards, who got about 2/3 of the way through, again, kept on good PR. But that's 1 gone, 3-1. Phil Lord, Chris Miller, that's another 2 gone. That's 5 there. We've got Colin Trevorrow, who people want gone, which I completely understand. That's 6. But he hasn't started filming yet. See if he makes it to filming. Number 7, the one everyone forgets about, Josh Trank, who got sacked before his idea even got put on paper. They are ruthless.
Yeah, with Colin Trevorrow, as I'm going to call him from now on, his latest film hasn't, I think it was, the reviews started coming out today or something like that, and they weren't completely positive, which adds fuel to the fire of, we don't want this guy as director, especially seeing as Jurassic World was just so shit.
Yeah.
And if that's the way that he treats a universe which has already got films in the past and that's trying to move on, we don't want that, especially in Star Wars, a beloved franchise. I know the Jurassic Park was also a beloved franchise, and I mean, it made money, but it wasn't a good film. It was a mess. We don't want a director who directs messes and mixed reviews. We want strong, solid directors. So in that kind of sense, Ron Howard is a good choice. He's got some good films under his belt. He's got some bad films, but overwhelmingly people remember him as a good director, not as a bad one.
Yeah.
So,
and the other thing, back to episode 9. I mean, yes, Trevorrow's probably going to make it, but jumping off the bandwagon quickly, when all of these films were announced and directors kept coming in, I really wish Ryan Johnson was going to stay for episode 9. Clearly, off the reception with him, they absolutely love everything he's done. I'm convinced Last Jedi will be great. Not me being biased of him, of his previous work, of his writing abilities, him as director. I've got so much high hopes for episode 8. However, if anything happens like this, because if they're going to pull the plug and take risks, you know, not to talk about Carrie's passing too much, but she was originally a lead character for episode 9. And they've now got to rewrite such a big chunk of 9 that's clearly been prepped for years. Could we even see JJ come back and save something in the near future? Because at the minute, he's not directing anything. He's just producing a lot of things. and he's still the producer, and he knows this trilogy. But it's a shambles. This whole thing's a shambles. They've delayed filming by 3 weeks. It's going to restart July the 10th. It's been said that they're going to let Ron Howard look at all the daily footage and stuff like that to see what changes he needs to make to it. But I'm sitting there thinking, first of all, you need to go meet your cast and crew. You need to get to know them. I'm sure he seems lovely. He's done some fantastic films, and I feel that from an experience standpoint, he's got a cool head. He's calm. You never see him outright. The reception of him of directors, he's a likable guy, and he's done so well in his career. I think at this last minute status, it probably was the best choice for someone being free. And I am just hoping that, it's the second Ginger director to take on a film at short notice this year. So I'm definitely happy that we've got Howard, not Whedon.
Maybe we'll get some more information surrounding this whole thing in a couple. I'm expecting with D23 coming out, they're going to have to, assuage some people's concerns with this.
Do you reckon because they've been fired under, should we say, not nice circumstances, do you reckon they might leak some things or?
No, if they leak stuff, Disney will make sure they never work on a film again. That's Disney's power. They seem like two good guys. I think they'll just be a bit devastated. They'll probably keep calm for a bit, and they'll probably, and honestly, I hope they make a comedy about it. But
aren't they working on the animated Spider-Man film coming out in the future?
I don't know. They had a lot of projects done. I don't know if they're attached to Lego Movie 2, but they're two guys. They're young and talented, and they've done some good films to date. And from what I'd heard on set, people clearly liked them. They were bonkers in a good way. But it's a sad because we've now lost two young directors, and I hope to know more, because if this is on Lawrence Kasdan, then I've lost a lot of respect for him as a writer. However, if it comes out he's right, we're never going to know until May. And until this, we're just going to keep getting news. And this is the biggest news bit of stay, but this is going to stick with us for like a year. So I would be happy to move on.
Yeah, it's always with Star Wars, isn't it? We always talk our ears off with it, but we do have a lot of other big news to talk about. One of the other biggest news is that Daniel Day-Lewis has retired from acting. Now, I think he has retired from acting before for a while. Then he was given a script that he liked, came back. So take this for what you will. Maybe he will come back. But as of right now, he says that he's retired completely. He has a film coming out later this year called Phantom Thread, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. So that's going to go out on the high. And as we were talking about earlier, we were hoping that Gary Oldman might have had a shot for the Oscar this year for Best Lead Actor. But the way it's going to go, it's clearly going to go to Day-Lewis at the end of this year.
Mind you, Lewis at the moment is 3 Oscar wins from 5. So he's not got a perfect record. He has lost before.
He should never have lost, though, with Gangs of New York.
Yeah, no, he shouldn't have lost for that. What did he win? Okay, let's count what he won for. He won for My Left Foot, Lincoln, and There Will Be Blood.
In the name of the Father. Oh no, he was nominated for.
Nominated in the Name of the Father, and nominated for Gangs of New York.
Okay, There Will Be Blood, Lincoln, and My Left Foot. As I said, there is 3. Yeah.
Very solid acting performances, guys. What do you reckon?
I think there's a reason that they do say he is one of the best of all time. I mean, I think he's the only living actor to win 3 Oscars for Best Actor.
No, he's the only actor, just
only
male. Yeah.
And that says everything about him. This guy, he's probably going to retire with 4. And if he does a Jack Nicholson, disappears for 16 years and comes back to get another one, then fair play to him. But I know this sounds terrible. I love how he picks his projects wisely, but when they announce he's retiring, it's not like he appears on screen every day. Like, it's not, it's just okay. Someone might come back to him, but it is sad he's retiring from film, but you never know how many films he would actually want to do. Like, if he's done, 6 across, that's 12, 15 years or something. If that, he picks his projects wisely, but it will be very fun watching him. It'll be fun watching his last film. I don't think it'll be sad as such because it's a different type of retirement. But Oscar season, I'm good for Gary Oldman because we know how the Oscars work, not against the politics of it, but it's his last film. He will win the Oscar.
Yeah, to me, it feels like a band that have announced their final tour about 3 or 4 times. Like you go to it, of course you do, because it says final tour, but in a couple of years, 10 years, whatever, they're going to be back again. And I'm sure
it's like Michael Bay leaving the Transformers films 3 times in a row. We've actually got to get to that later. But I will let you have the next bit of news, Chris.
Yes, so director John G. Avildsen, who's most famous for directing Rocky, Rocky 5, and the Karate Kid trilogy, passed away. I can't remember what day he passed away, but he died at the age of 81. He won the director for best director for Rocky, the award, sorry, for best director of Rocky, and yeah, I mean, he was one of my favorite directors. We haven't actually talked about Rocky before on the channel, which really surprised me. We've talked Creed before, but man, that first Rocky film is still incredible to this day. And it's actually getting a rescreening at one of my local cinemas next month, which I'm going to go and see. It's kind of even more poignant now that he did pass away. And The Karate Kid, I mean, needs no introduction. One of my favorite series of films from the 80s. It's an absolutely guilty pleasure movie. It's a feel-good film. So really, he did all my favorite sports films. Like we've talked sports films before. Rocky and Karate Kid have always been up there as my favorites. Yeah, I mean, he was getting up there, let's be honest, 81, you know, but yeah, he leaves behind him a tremendous legacy of films. Rocky, I mean, it's even still ongoing to this day.
Yeah, and it's sad because if you think about a career, how many people can say they've released like two iconic underdog films like Rocky and The Karate Kid? They're what you think of across childhood, and as an adult you grow up, you rewatch them, and they're still actually amazing. And it's left behind like a fantastic sort of not portfolio filmography. Although we did do Rocky 5, he did return to his franchise. He might not have been able to save it, but you know he's won an Academy Award for Best Director. Even Rocky winning that award wasn't underdog. Any award it won that year, no one expected to. So he took on and helped Stallone become what he is, and is phenomenal work.
And actually, it says that there's a documentary coming out later this year called John G. Avildsen, King of the Underdogs, and that's going to feature interviews with Sylvester Stallone and Ralph Macchio, Martin Scorsese, so that might be one to watch. I don't really get to see many documentaries. There's not really many places that screen documentaries near me, but if I do get a chance, I will check that one out because I'd like to see more about his work outside of those series of films too.
Okay. Moving on.
Back to Marvel and Sony news for this one. It seems we can't go a week without talking superheroes. So who wants to take this one?
I'll take this one. I haven't taken one so far. I want in.
Go for it.
Okay, so Amy Pascal says Venom and Black Cat are a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's an interview worth watching with Kevin Feige. Is it Feige?
Feige, I think.
Feige. Wow. Okay.
I think everyone has like a different pronunciation of his name, so just whichever suits on the day.
But yeah, so this is another kind of encroachment of Sony characters bleeding into the Marvel universe since they got that contract, isn't it?
Well, it's a bit of an awkward one, really, because George, you actually watched this interview first, and then you told me about it, and then since then I've watched. You know how they did Sad Affleck, where the camera zooms in black and white. Yeah.
The Sound of Silence. This is the Sony, I guess, head honcho of film, sitting next to the creator and probably the most successful producer of this century so far, with the best achievements. He's created this universe that's every film company is aspiring to be like, and he is sitting literally on a pile of money if he felt like it. This guy has got an unlimited tick list, and he has the Sony film person sit next to him say, yeah, Venom is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and his face is priceless. It's at the minute there's a meme, that guy blinking like that, yeah, and that's Kevin Feige, and he goes from sophisticated to awkward and scared in the space of 3 seconds. The next 50 seconds is just golden. It is this year's Sad Affleck. It's Sad Feige. He's, you know, I don't think he knew she was going to say this. I don't even know if this is part of the deal. It's just, I mean, I don't think it is, and I think she's just saying it to get people to like it. But my gosh, if a face can say 1,000 words, then it was that interview.
I was half expecting to like turn to him and be like the character from Batman Begins, like, didn't you get the memo? Like, because the look on his face is just pure horror. Like, this has not come up in any boardroom meeting before. And the interviewer's like, you know, just pitching these questions, and she's clearly just stirring up hype where she's like, oh, yeah, we might have Tom Holland's Spider-Man in there too with these heroes. They've basically said that the Venom film is going to be not completely disconnected, because obviously he's a Spider-Man villain, but they said that Spider-Man wasn't going to be in there. It was going to be Tom Hardy on his own. It just seems like an utter mess. And I think
but even with that, they've also announced the villain of that film. And you're thinking, well, isn't Venom a villain? Like, it's a villain with a villain.
Yeah. I mean, Venom maybe has enough material with the character to have his own movie. Black Cat, I don't really think so. That seems to me like, based on the success of Wonder Woman, we've had our first, well, I'm not going to say first female superhero because there's clearly been more, but the first good one, it seems like everyone's on a hype from that, and now Sony are going to want to cash in on that
now,
too.
here's the question. Does Black Cat meet up with Black Panther?
When I typed our schedule, I accidentally wrote Black Panther and left like that for like 3 days because I was on autopilot.
Isn't it a bit confusing to have a character in a universe called Black Cat and then a character called Black Panther?
Yeah.
Aren't they basically the same thing?
Well, I don't know. One's kind of like a Catwoman clone, really, isn't she? And then
it would be like having Iron Man and then someone called like Metal Man. Like, what's the point? You know,
there probably is a character in Marvel now called Metal Man. There has to be. There has to be.
No, it's like having a character called Superman and a character called Super Duper Man, and having them fight.
Tate, you're going to trademark that right now, Super Duper Man.
Yes,
DC
Super Duper
Comics.
Man. Completely different to Superman.
But, DC will put it in a film though.
Oh, of course they will. They're desperate.
No, what they'll do is because we said Superman, they'll just copyright this video.
Or we'll just get severely disliked by all the DC fanboys out there, which seems to be how things go. But also to tie in with this Venom film, they've also confirmed the villain now. Not really much of a surprise, but Carnage is going to be the villain. Now, I will be honest, I do love Spider-Man. I do love the Rogues Gallery of Spider-Man. I don't really know much about Carnage. I know that obviously he is affiliated with Venom. He comes from the same symbiote. But I think that Carnage is basically just Venom on roids. Like, he's even more manic and chaotic than even Venom is.
So now Venom's the underdog.
Well, this is based on a villain. If you're going to do a film based on a villain, you have to you can have them be an anti-hero or an all-out villain, but they have to be somewhat of a protagonist to carry that movie, especially if you're not going to have Spider-Man in there. And this is why I'm kind of against it, because all the interesting character material of Venom, to me at least, comes from the interaction with Spider-Man and the whole black suit thing. But if we're going to have Venom up against Carnage, I can pretty much just imagine how that movie is going to look already, if the final action climax. Depends how they're going to do it. I'm not opposed to them using Carnage at all. But as I said, I don't really know much about the character to go in depth onto it.
Carnage, he looks like Rorschach from Watchmen.
Rorschach,
sorry. Because last time I saw that film, Carnage is like the big bad. Like, if you think Venom's like gonna like kill you, then like you'd pray for Venom over Carnage. That's the kind of thing he is. He's like obviously Venom is Brock, Eddie Brock. Sorry, I almost said Brock Lesnar. Then could have been amazing as Venom. And you know, he was just like a shit journalist photographer that ended up getting bad. Carnage is a sociopath murderer who's already in prison and then gets to be Carnage. I think, as a kid that grew up with Spider-Man and loves Spider-Man, knows that Rogues book, grew up with TV shows, comics, all of that, Carnage is someone you want to build up to for a few films. Not like a Thanos, but you need that symbiote storyline, and you need like Carnage to have been like known as a human character, a bit like how Sam Raimi had Dr. Connors in the films and was eventually going to turn him into Lizard, but thanks, Sony, for not doing that. Because you're idiots. And
so here's the thing: he's meant to be like an underdog character, and yet it's Tom Hardy.
Well, he is like 5 foot, isn't he?
I know, but you wouldn't mess with Tom Hardy.
That's
true.
Well,
Eddie Brock is kind of a stocky character if you look at him in the comic books. So I'm not opposed to that casting at all.
The reason I'm excited for the Venom film is purely because of Tom Hardy. I think that's the same for a lot of people. It's not that it was a safe bet. I personally think it's ballsy having someone do something like Bane and then actually go and find Bane. Be like, do you want to be Venom as well? I think he would be enough to save it. A bit like how, even though I don't like Deadpool, it doesn't work without Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, and the fact that Tom Hardy's even signed up to this film in the first place. Because, I mean, he did with Suicide Squad, clearly saw the script for that or how it was going over, got out of there while the getting was good. He might even drop out of this one, but at this point it seems like he knows this is a film he wants to do, so that's all good news there. And sticking with Sony, we've got some more kind of Spider-Man universe news as well. Sony are planning solo films for Kraven the Hunter and Mysterio. They want to build up to this Sinister Six movie, so they're starting with the Venom one, and then we'll eventually get these.
Wait a sec. Apparently, and I've just searched this up as well to confirm it. Sheila, thank you for the knowledge. Metal Men are apparently a group of superheroes in the DC universe.
Oh, we got it right with DC. That's amazing.
We can have a crossover event and have Iron Man fight the Metal Men.
Oh, Jesus.
Can we have Deadpool get killed by Deathstroke?
And have Deadshot in there as well, just to confuse everyone even more.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this whole Kraven the Hunter and Mysterio thing, I mean, I love those villains. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to kind of repeat myself here. I think they work better when they're with Spider-Man. They've said that Spider-Man might be the connective tissue between these films, kind of like the Agent Coulson character from the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the Avengers films. It seems like the wrong way to go about it. Again, Sony are rushing this thing out. Like George said, take your time, build up to it. Sinister Six is huge. Raimi tried to do it, and he was, the first Spider-Man film was, 2002? His last one was 2007. If he'd have carried on, who knows where it may have led to. I'm not opposed to a Sinister Six movie, but like Amazing Spider-Man 2 was really trying to rush to it. It seems like they're just making exactly the same mistakes that Sony have made countless times before.
Yeah, and Avi Arad is still the producer, which is bad news because he is responsible for the messes of Amazing Spider-Man 2. He's responsible for sacking Sam Raimi because apparently Lizard is a villain that's too much CGI and won't connect with fans. So instead he put Lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man remake. Kraven the Hunter, I love these characters. Again, that goes to my childhood. A common person would be like, who the hell is Kraven the Hunter? Why am I going to be looking at Burt Reynolds in a tiger skin hunting people? Unless it's like some kind of version of Coming to America, but an action serious film.
I fucking watch that.
I just don't have a clue what this is. And Mysterio, like, he's an awesome villain, but the less you know about him, the better.
Yeah.
This is scary times ahead. Sony have got their Marvel deal. Okay, we're going to get our audience off this. Then we're going to revert back to the chaos that we had 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and it's going to keep going and going. Marvel need to outright buy them rights off them and save the day, but they never.
Yeah,
will.
we can't. Here's the thing, though: we can't judge until we've seen the Amazing. Sorry, not the Amazing Spider-Man. Spider-Man Homecoming. And here's the thing: like, I've seen all the trailers for Spider-Man Homecoming. I feel like I've seen the whole movie, but it's not a movie that I wouldn't be immediately turned off by. I'm still quite excited about it. It looks like it's going to be a decent film.
The only thing that's keeping my interest is Michael Keaton as Vulture, because Keaton's awesome.
Very interesting, yeah.
Oh god, we have even more Spider-Man news. I thought that was it for Spider-Man news, but we've got even more. So with the whole Robert Downey Jr. thing, they're really pushing Iron Man for this Spider-Man film. I'm sure Spider-Man's a good enough hero on his own to carry this movie, but we've had Iron Man. Apparently they're planning to feature another hero in the second Spider-Man film following Homecoming. Surely they have enough faith in Spider-Man at this point. I mean, let's say that Homecoming is a success. Do we need another hero?
Here's the thing, Chris. We got, in the first film, we got Spider-Man and Iron Man. It may as well be an Iron Man film from the trailers we've seen so far. He basically plays his mentor in this film. So I believe teaming up with another member of the Avengers would be decent. I mean, like, it'd be fun to see him maybe doing a crossover event with Deadpool. That would be funny. Seeing as those two characters.
That's Fox, though.
That's Fox. I know, but
and it's torture.
It is torture. A lot of people are saying Doctor Strange because Doctor Strange is based in New York. But then again, Avengers HQ is in New York, so you could really have any of the characters. It'd be fun seeing Nick Fury going like rogue and having to like be wave sung by Spider-Man and then like shooting people in midair. That'd be amazing.
Can I pitch you the scene of all crossovers that have ever existed?
Go on.
Go on.
Benedict Cumberbatch comes on screen, does the whole circle shenanigans. Spider-Man zips through one portal. Guess who zips back in on the other side of the portal? Tobey Maguire and Sam
Yes.
Raimi.
Oh my god, yes.
And then they zip it and we never see Tom Holland again. Yes, Benedicts, do that and you'll be a friend. That won't ever happen.
What about Spider-Man teaming up with a Hulk?
Well, the Hulk's already been in Thor, so I really don't want him to overdo Mark Ruffalo. I don't know. I just let him be a Spider-Man film, and if they want friends, then introduce some Spider-Man characters to be his friend. It's
maybe there'll be two Spider-Men, and it'll be Donald Glover.
Yes, that's what I'm actually hoping. Assuming they don't sack the director that the film he's working on halfway through, because they've already done it once in a Disney contract.
Because he's in it. Yeah, seeing Donald Glover playing any character is brilliant. He's the perfect casting for Lando.
I think just the tragedy out of all this, though, is that like that film you just pitched is never going to happen, George. And I really want it to happen now. Like, if he did come back, if Raimi did come back to do a Spider-Man 4, would it just be called like Parker or something, like a really minimalistic
Old Man Peter?
Or just like Logan?
Yeah. Well, what's Maguire
Never
done?
seen it.
What have I become?
She's got like J.J. Jameson like pumped up on roids after his tablets. From the fourth one, he's back.
No, just
And he has
no.
like a drum kit.
I mean, have you seen J.K. Simmons? He's so buff right now for a Justice League movie. Imagine having him come back and just like punch Peter Parker in the face, just like, "Where's my fucking photos, boy?"
It's not. It's not his son that's the Wolfman now. It's him. It's J.J. Jameson. It's not his son.
That's what I've
That
said.
would be insane.
J.K. Simmons is the most terrifying thing in Justice League. He's going to be scarier than Batman in that film. It's going to be amazing. And speaking of Batman and Justice League, we've had a new poster release for Justice League. Apparently, there's a new trailer that's been confirmed for Comic-Con on Saturday, 22nd of July. And this one features Superman. Now, obviously, even people that went to see Batman v Superman opening night, whenever you went to see that movie, Superman dies at the end of that movie. Big shock. You know he's not going to stay dead because you can't do a Justice League film without Superman. But what's intrigued me about this poster is that it's the conventional Superman costume. It doesn't look too different. I don't know if they've made any changes. It's the red and blue costume, essentially, where it's been heavily just rumored throughout since Batman v Superman that Henry Cavill was going to come back in a black costume and he was going to be like this evil, bizarro kind of Superman character. That might still happen. We know he's going to get in the suit properly at the end, or hasn't that been confirmed? That wasn't confirmed.
The black suit was funny. Someone basically took a set picture from Man of Steel, and they photoshopped the suit to be black and released it as Justice League. So when it happened, there was outroar everywhere. And I think Henry Cavill did a troll post on Instagram to say that this is happening, and then someone found the original image and just sent it back, and it was done and dusted.
Fair enough.
Clever way of doing it, but yeah, like we knew he's back. It's an okay poster, but what's more intriguing is that Wonder Woman's third down the line on this poster. Give it November, and she'll be at the forefront of all their merchandise.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's 6 people on the poster, and I just remember the original poster that came out that was Unite the Seven. Clearly, they wanted to add Green Lantern in there as well. And with Wonder Woman, where we had that new DC Cinematic Universe intro, it featured Green Lantern, and we still have no word on that. I know they're making a Green Lantern core movie around 2019, 2020.
Chris, we know who the 7th is. We just talked about him. It's J.K. Simmons.
It's J.K. Simmons. Someone needs to Photoshop him into the image now. Get it done.
You're just gonna see him just sneak behind the screen, take some roids, and then just like
just slaps Stecklenburg? No, that's a goalkeeper. Whatever this villain is it Steppenwolf? Just J.K. Simmons just walks up and just slaps him in the face. And
just throws a stool.
There's your film.
And it's like not my tempo. But no, if Chris could have his way, this film would just be the opening title sequence played over and over. But I don't know. Justice League so far doesn't look too good.
I would pay to see that. You joke. I would pay to see that.
No, you'd see a 200-minute long title sequence for the first Superman movie.
I'd do it because it's one of my favourite pieces of music ever written for cinema.
Better.
We've already had this debate. I'm not getting into it again. Let's move on. So, who wants to take the next?
Give it Tate is his favorite film.
Oh, which film? Oh, fucking lord. Okay, the film that no one really cares about, Jurassic World 2, has a title: The Fallen Kingdom, also known as the Fallen franchise. Poster has been released. Just a teaser poster. I haven't actually seen this poster because I could care less about this film.
Tate, let's be honest, this franchise has fallen since The Lost World.
Yeah, definitely. The third one was.
I like Jurassic Park 3. It's a guilty pleasure.
Jurassic Park 3 with the the raptors coming up with the eggs and the.
You're forgetting the dream sequence of the guy that transforms into a velociraptor as well.
Jurassic World's a weird one. Love the first one, as everyone does.
I love Jurassic World.
Jurassic World, I was so caught up in the hype. I saw it 3 times within a week at the cinema, and it was an event because there hadn't been a dinosaur film.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind it. It's not good. To me, it's like a Transformers. You switch your head off for 3 hours and you go back to it.
I thought it was an absolute abhorrent disaster of a film.
But there's Jurassic World. The concept I liked of the park is open. The concept was there. The film didn't pay off the concepts.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need another one. No one wants another one.
Hey guys, I have a great idea. Let's try and jumper cable this car that's been dead for the last 30 years.
30 years? I hope not, because Jurassic Park 1 came out 24 years ago. It came out in 93.
24 years then, seeing they're on the first island again. Every single scene has to mention that it's the Samsung Center of Excellence at the center of the thing, so non-stop advertising. You have random characters have such brutal deaths for no apparent reason, which would be cool, but it's so pointless with zero payoff.
The Indominus Rex was cool, but it didn't work. The one thing
what about the RNG Raptor coming back at the end and saving the day, and then everyone making peace with each other and being like, yeah, let's high five and have milkshakes, and then ride off into the sunset?
Why not? They're Velociraptors. Listen, the one thing I'd defend Colin Trevorrow with, the original concept which they tried to make him do for Jurassic World was having like human dinosaur-y things in the army.
I'd love to see that. Not in Jurassic Park franchise.
It's a terrible film.
I think I've already said how to fix the film and how to come up with a brilliant way to make it a new one. And maybe this is the way they're going with this film. If so, then I'd love to see it. But basically, having people going out onto an island and basically getting stranded there and having to survive on the island like Predator style against these dinosaurs. Like Love Island.
Just with dinosaurs to intervene.
Like Naked and Afraid with dinosaurs.
I'm scared for it. Like, I like Chris Pratt. I don't mind the cast that have come in, but okay, the world made so much money that they just had to make another one, and it's going to be this terrible army thing that they've got planned.
Well, they set that up in World, didn't they? Well, I've actually been reading what the director's been saying about the film, and he seems like his heart's in the right place with the franchise. It's going back to Isla Nublar. They've got Jeff Goldblum back. Hopefully, it's not another case of like Independence Day resurgence because he was absolutely abysmal in that film. I really hope that's not the case.
And yet, he looks like he's going to be phenomenal in Ragnarok.
Yes, this is true. I just want Sam Neill back in this Jurassic Park franchise. Like, Sam Neill is my favorite character. He always has been. But we'll have to wait and see when it comes out. It'll make a shit ton of money again.
Oh, yeah.
Jurassic World had
can we also get back that camera operator that appears in shot in the kitchen scene in the first Jurassic Park?
One thing I will say on it, the last thing, Fallen Kingdom, terrible name. When you think of dinosaurs, it's not the dinosaur kingdom. When you think of kingdoms, the animal kingdom, like Africa, the lions, they're real kingdoms. It was
maybe the Fallen Kingdom is humanity.
I would pay to see Donald Trump get eaten by a T-Rex though. Just getting politics into it.
You might see that in the new Iron Sky film. You never know.
Hopefully.
I mean, have you guys seen the new trailer for the Iron Sky film? It came out like 3 weeks ago, so we can really talk about it.
I just know the first one was mental.
It's hilarious. It has Sarah Palin in it versus dinosaurs, and this film has brought back Hitler on a mecha T-Rex.
Well, the mecha T-Rexes have their rightful place in Michael Bay's franchise, don't they, with Transformers, with Grimlock?
Better than the animated Transformers nonsense.
Oh, we're not getting into that again. So we are moving swiftly on after that slur. The next bit of news is that Una Chaplin, people know her from Game of Thrones. Maybe she played the character of Talissa, Robb Stark's wife. She has been cast.
Charlie Chaplin's
granddaughter. Yeah. Has been cast as a lead part, apparently, in James Cameron's upcoming Avatars 2, 3, 4, and 5 now. I swear to God, every time I hear more news about Avatar, they add an extra sequel onto the end of that.
I thought that was just the name of the film, Avatar 2345.
No, that's going to be Blade Runner 3, don't worry.
Okay, that's fine.
Starring CGI Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Going to this Avatar news, I couldn't give two shits about Avatar in all honesty. Una Chaplin, she's a great actress. I've only seen her in Game of Thrones, so I haven't seen her in anything outside of that. She was great in Game of Thrones. I'm sure she'll be fine. I don't know if she's playing a Na'vi. I don't know if she's playing a human. I'd expect she's probably playing a Na'vi of some kind.
I hope she plays the big military dude with the scar across her goddamn forehead. She becomes the villain of the entire franchise. I want a whole story arc going about it.
Instead of like a cup of coffee this time, it's like a slurpy cup of iced tea with a straw.
The way James Cameron sees this was he did world building with the first film, a bit like Star Wars, and now this one's going to be Empire Strikes Back. Oh, no, wait, no, he's gone for family-friendly films for all of them. Oh, wow.
The other thing, there was 3 years between Star Wars films, and it would have been 11 by the time Avatar 2's out.
Yeah,
I mean, I would also add in what Chris said earlier. They announced that filming dates for the Avatar 2 that it's going to film into September. It'll be done by the start of next year because obviously it's basically in the studio. I guess their money goes on production. But I also saw the release dates now. I don't know if this changed or not. This is how little I care. But Avatar 2 and 3 will come out in 2020 and 2021. Avatar 4 and 5 will come out in 2024 and 2025. I don't know why. I don't care what I thought annually.
I don't care about those. I just care about when Avatar 7 is coming out.
So they're filming 2 and 3 back to back, and
I would assume so.
4 and 5 back to back. Jesus Christ,
it's a mess. And also the cheek of the producer to say that, James Cameron's sequels are always much better than his originals. It's like, no, you're just thinking of Terminator 2 and Aliens.
Which wasn't even his original.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Terminator was, but Alien wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. God, I just want to see this franchise crash and burn after 2.
It will.
You think?
Yeah.
Next bit of news. So obviously everyone knows Adam West passed away last week. And there was this whole animated Batman film that was set to come out. It was going to be a sequel to Return of the Caped Crusaders from 2016. And when I heard the news that Adam West passed away, I was like, we're never going to get that. They'd said that William Shatner was going to be playing Two-Face. It was going to be the first time that Two-Face had ever featured in the universe of the 60s Batman. And I thought all hope of ever seeing that movie was completely lost. However, it surfaced that Adam West did actually record all of his lines. I believe it's all of his lines for that movie. So it looks like we're still going to get that movie, thankfully. And that will be the final send-off for Adam West's incarnation of the Batman character. Really excited for this news. I loved Return of the Caped Crusaders. It did feel like it could be a sequel to the 60s Batman movie. It was a lot of fun. There was loads of in-jokes through Batman throughout the ages. Hearing Adam West say the Michael Keaton's lines, "Come on, you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts," was amazing. So hopefully if it's the same, it's going to be the same kind of humor. It's going to have the same kind of energy. So I don't know when that's coming out. It might be next year. But
I believe Return of the Caped Crusaders is also getting a, what's it called? Blu-ray release.
Yeah, no, I think it's been out. Yeah.
No, maybe it's Mask of the Phantasm's getting a Blu-ray.
Yes, Mask of the Phantasm is, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some steelbook of some sort. I know you guys are interested because
Chris. I will be picking that movie up because that movie's fantastic.
Okay, let's move on to Blade Runner news because this is exciting in some way, shape, or form. We'll obviously talk about the featurette trailer that came out this week when we get down to the trailer section. But Denis Villeneuve, I believe you pronounce it, has spoken about Blade Runner, saying that himself and Ryan Gosling have made peace with the idea that the chances of success were very narrow. He said, "I came on board because the script was very strong, but no matter what you do, no matter how good you are or what you're doing, the film will always be compared to the first, which is a masterpiece. So I made peace with that, and when you make peace with that, you are free." What they're really trying to say here is, people, we know it's not going to be as good or as iconic as the original film, but we hope that people can accept that and enjoy the film for what it is and not see it as, okay, this film is slightly worse, therefore it's a negative film. But instead, this film won't be as maybe iconic as the first film, but it still means you can enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the only person who's seen the featurette here. It is stunning, and it really has me completely on board with this film, especially with this thrown in as well, because it shows that they've made peace with the idea that, yeah, it won't be like the same as the first film, but because of that, maybe they can take the film in a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the featurette, and the reason purely why is because I don't want them to talk. I don't want them to talk about the film details of the film. I'm so excited to see this that just their main trailers will do. Because if I try and avoid a trailer, I'm still going to see it on Twitter, Facebook, pictures, images. But I'm excited for it, and they've got a stunning director on it. I think the chance of getting this compared to original, they've said everything that people are thinking. That's the right thing to say. But the reason I think people are excited is because of the director and his previous work, what he's done. Very few people could have been put on a Blade Runner film, and you would have had people saying, "I agree with that." I genuinely couldn't actually name 3 others who could have done another Blade Runner and been okay. Even Ridley Scott would have been frowned upon if you look what he's done since he's gone back to Alien.
Yeah.
And honestly, it is the ballsiest directorial thing, taking on Star Wars. Just quickly, someone was always going to do it. Someone wanted to do it. Someone can do that. Blade Runner is so different. So much time has passed. It's not a franchise. It's a cult classic. Take the balls to take on that and another one. Take that risk, man. Go for it, and I really hope it's amazing.
I feel like Villeneuve would make a brilliant Star Wars film as well.
I think, Chris, did you put a number 1 on your list when we did a Star Wars top 10 directors?
Mm-hmm.
I could go on for ages about who should do Star Wars, but yes, if he pulls off this, he's got the keys to the cinematic world of whatever the hell he wants to do for the rest of his
next film after this is going to be a reboot of Dune for anyone who remembers that, the 80s movie based on the book. I think the movie, some people like it, it's like a guilty pleasure movie, but in terms of based on that novel, I think it was just completely different. My take on this statement that he said, I agree with his statement. However, I don't want this to be a scapegoat statement for if the film comes out and it's very average, just kind of throw your arms up. Well, you know, I said it wasn't going to be as good as the first one, guys. Don't worry about it. Like, I did the best I can. Like, do we actually need a sequel to Blade Runner? These are the questions I ask. If you know that it's not going to compare to the first, if you know it's not going to be a masterpiece or have the same kind of historical impact, then why make it? There hasn't really been a clamoring for a sequel of Blade Runner since it came out over 30 years ago.
And but yet, when you saw the first trailer, did you not immediately go, I can see this working?
Yes.
I'm still unsure. It is one of my most anticipated films of the year, don't get me wrong, and that's purely based on Denis Villeneuve's previous filmography. I loved Arrival. We know he can do sci-fi. He's probably one of the best directors working in the business today, so that's why I'm intrigued by it. I'm still cautious about the trailers, though. From what I saw from the last trailer, although I did like it, I thought that it looks a lot more action-focused, which Blade Runner never was. So I hope that's not the case. I don't know how I feel about this new Blade Runner film, but I'll obviously be there day one. Hopefully can get to the premiere in London, which I'm sure they're going to have at some point. That's not just because I want to try and get an autograph from Harrison Ford, the man himself. George, do you want to take the next bit of news?
Yes. Everyone's favorite giant lizard thing, Godzilla, is back because obviously they're doing Godzilla 2 and Godzilla v King Kong and whatever the hell they want to do. What we have now is a synopsis for the film, which confirms not just the villain, but villains, the keyword being plural. So I'm just going to read it out. The new story follows the heroic efforts of the Cryptozoological Agency Monarch as its members face off against a battery of god-sized monsters, including the mighty Godzilla, who collides with Mothra, Rodan, and his ultimate nemesis, the three-headed King Ghidorah. When these ancient superspecies, thought to be mere myths, rise again, they will vie for supremacy, leaving humanity's very existence hanging in the balance.
Is this a new world of gods and monsters, perhaps?
Welcome to a new world of gods and sinners. I loved the first Godzilla. It's got its faults. It was a film I think you either love it or you hate it. It's really hard to get the middle between because it was ballsy, but it didn't need to be ballsy. Loved Kong Skull Island. The stuff they're doing to building up Kong v Godzilla, I'm very intrigued by. But I'm just happy this has started filming. But the key thing is that they announced all three villains to be in this film. For those that I'm just going to spoil the credit scene of Kong Skull Island, they have images of Godzilla and these three evil kaiju. I don't know, I've forgotten their names already. After I've just seen a three-headed giant dragon at the IMAX today, I'm intrigued to see how this three-headed King Ghidorah thing is going to go down. I think it's ballsy for them to do these three villains, especially. But then we know they're doing Godzilla v King Kong, so who knows what could happen now.
I feel like maybe spreading out the villains would have been better. I mean, Ghidorah is his biggest villain, but personally, my favorite villain is Mothra. Like, I've always been a massive Godzilla versus Mothra.
I can't hear that name the same since Batman v Superman.
Why did you say his name?
Mothra.
Save Mothra. No, please, DC Universe, don't ruin my favorite Godzilla villain.
Giant.
What am I talking about? Godzilla's best villain is humanity, or Matthew Broderick. So, yeah, I'm kind of excited, but at the same time, I feel like they've crammed too many villains into one film.
My concern.
It may end up like the Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Kind of.
My concern with it is that they are probably going to lump too many in there, but we also need to think, I mean, I haven't seen all the Godzilla films. I know that they all kind of have their own little origin story, but come on, it's Godzilla fighting giant monsters, and that's what we wanted in the first Godzilla film, and that's what I at least wanted in the first Godzilla film. So it seems like, although they're kind of throwing everything at the wall at once, and I didn't expect them to use all three of the villains in this movie, I thought they were going to spread them out in future Godzilla films, maybe the King Kong one. But if people had problems with the first one saying that Godzilla wasn't enough, that's kind of put all that to rest with this one. I mean, if we're getting three villains in there, you are going to see plenty of different kinds of action as well from Godzilla. You're going to have Mothra, the flying one. Actually, are they all flying ones? That may have just ruined my entire argument I was going to have there. They'll find different ways to do it, is my argument. And Godzilla versus King Kong is a big event movie in and of itself, just from the title with those two characters alone, that you don't really need other villains in there. Maybe they'll do a whole team-up thing. I don't know how they're going to go about that, but I'm looking forward to it. That end scene of Kong Skull Island was incredible. I got from hearing that Godzilla roar again, seeing what they're going to set up with this universe. Again, this is another universe that makes sense, not like some film studios are trying to do. They're trying to get everything off the ground, turn it into a universe. This one is what I'm looking forward to. Speaking of universes, well, not really so much with this one, but Deadpool 2 has started filming. Ryan Reynolds put on Twitter the first official picture released of Deadpool 2, where it's Deadpool lying on the front, what is it, like the front driveway of the X Mansion with the caption, "Dropped by the X Mansion, big fucking surprise, no one's home." The marketing for Deadpool's always been great, in my opinion. I know, George, you don't like Deadpool. It's still in keeping with the character, and Ryan Reynolds, they kind of blurred the lines now. Ryan Reynolds has blurred the lines between the Deadpool character, like they are one of the same people now. I'm looking forward to Deadpool 2. I don't think it will be quite as big success as the first one, because I think the first one did surprise everyone of how faithful it was to the character, and I thought it was a good movie in of itself. Although I haven't watched it. I've watched it a second time. I haven't watched it past then, so maybe that'll be the case with this one. It's a first image. It's fine. We've had a trailer already. It's Deadpool. We've already seen him at the X Mansion before, so it's nothing really new. But it's fine.
Yeah, like, okay. I will say, although I despise Deadpool, I kind of did say earlier Ryan Reynolds that there's no Deadpool without Ryan Reynolds now. There's no Ryan Reynolds without Deadpool. Yeah. He's done a Tony Stark. He's done a Mark Hamill. He's become the character, and I'm going to obviously watch it, and I just want it to be better than the first, but to me, there's no rewatchability. This is the wrong place to have that discussion. But, they're filming, fair enough. Fox, Logan was outstanding. However, that all comes down to James Mangold and Hugh Jackman, not Fox. Probably the one film they meddled with least. With this, I'm scared they would have meddled and maybe won it exactly like the first one to get that money back and see what happens. But, yeah, like, of course he's got to be in the X Mansion, but the issue now is this going to be, what timeline are they going to be in? Are they going to be near the bloody awful supernova one they're going to do? The Fox is all over the place. Just go make this film and, try and make some witty jokes. Make a film about how terrible trilogies can be while finishing off a trilogy or some nonsense like that.
Throw in a couple of references to Logan in there for good measure as well, which no doubt will do.
Something on the lines of, I can't believe he's passed away now. I can't do a cameo with him.
And then Hugh Jackman will show up. Yeah, I think he'll be in it. Maybe
he'll just carry around a picture of him throughout the entire film saying it wasn't his last performance, this is his last performance.
Mm-hmm.
Or like what's it called? Knowing Deadpool's humor, he'll probably carry around like a sex doll with his face on it or something stupid like that.
Or he'll probably get impaled on a tree and pull himself because he can regenerate, can't he? They'll probably do something like that, maybe.
He'll make a joke about, you see, you can easily get out of this situation.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to Deadpool 2, but we know it's pretty much going to be one of the same. We've got a few last bit of news stories, then we need to get to trailer talk. I realise we've been talking for quite a long time already. George, I'm going to let you take this one because this is near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, speaking of films that people are actually excited for, Hasbro have announced that Transformers 6, they are still aiming for 2019. Yes. However, we have some bad news. No Bayhem, no party. That's the description. That's precisely what's happening. He's announced for the 4th film in a row that he's stepping away from the franchise after the next one. Transformers 6. Okay, I'm not going to spoil it because it's just come out. I've seen it today. You guys haven't. But we will be talking about that on Saturday in our review. And this is a double header. I'm going to go on to the big news because you guys don't care about Transformers 6.
Spoiler alert, Transformers is probably shit.
More enjoyable than Deadpool. But right, this is where Tate will actually get excited. Bumblebee film, so the Bumblebee film setting and tone. The producer of Transformers 5, who I don't know his name, has said, and there's quite a few things to say about this, and then I'm going to read it all, and I'm going to give it to you guys to discuss because it links to your beloved hearts. It's going to have an Iron Giant-like vibe of Bumblebee. It's going to be set in 1985, and it's given some details in the film saying, we purposefully hired Travis Knight, for those who don't know, the director of Kubo and the Two Strings. Tate's face is golden. He's a very distinct filmmaker. It gets better. You can't compete with Bayhem. You're going to lose. And also, I think the audience wants something different all the time. We've got to keep them interested. They're going to get an emotional, complex story. It's a very tight story in terms of its location and in terms of storytelling.
This is truly where we learn whether it is Michael Bay pulling in people or whether it's just the Transformer films. And I genuinely think it's going to be just Michael Bay pulling people in with his style of explosions and stuff like that. Oh, I'm so split on this because I don't want another goddamn Transformers sequels being run into the mill already. But, god damn it, Travis Knight is a very good director. Absolutely adored Kubo and the Two Strings. And the tone that they're trying to set sounds very good. And you can't compare any film to The Iron Giant. But if they're hitting up that kind of vibe, I have no idea what to think. I really do. But I still think that there's going to be something about the film where the studio will somehow make it dumb.
Well, they've got to sell toys.
I know, but a film like that when you've got a director like that, you don't need to have the studio kind of taking over and adding in loads of explosions. Like, you don't. You really don't. And the whole Bayhem thing is both the reason why the Transformers franchises continue, but also the reason why people hate it so much. Because it's just mindless action that has no point with terrible dialogue. And the direction is basically him saying to the pyrotechnics people, oh, make an explosion here, we'll do the rest in editing. And the actors getting no direction at all, which leads to shitty dialogue and quite a pretty screen. So
Michael Bay does do some practical effects. He likes real life explosions, and then he just improves them.
Yeah, that's the
on
point.
his
He's just saying, he's speaking to the pyrotechnics guy, saying, "I want you to make an explosion here, and we'll do some
more.
Like we'll make it look bigger in editing." But he doesn't actually direct the film.
He does. He directs it his way. There's that amazing shot of him sliding on the camera rig with the explosions going on him and his IMAX camera. The guy is talented. He's a draw. Well, I'm going to say he's a box office draw, but then we've got
He's a truck driver. Let's be honest.
He is not a drunk driver. He's a fantastic human being.
Driver. He's a truck driver.
What's wrong with that? Optimus Prime's a truck.
He is indeed. Can I give my 2 cents on this?
Go for it. Chris is the middle ground.
Well, I don't know. I do fall very harsh down the Michael Bay films, not going to lie, despite me being fairly amicable in the reviews that we did the other day. Okay, so in my opinion, Michael Bay should have left the whole Transformers project many, many films ago. When he first was attached to the first Transformers film, I can't remember the quote directly, but he said basically, oh, that's just like a stupid toy thing, isn't it? I don't want to direct a film on that. When a director says that about a beloved franchise to many people, that's the wrong director from the job instantly. Do not give that project to him. They did anyway. 5 films in. I know you liked it. We're going to get into our review, as you said, Saturday. I'm watching it tomorrow, so I'll hold off judgment till then, although I think I know what I'm getting into. General consensus, even from people that like the Transformers movies, is that it feels tired at this point. It's nothing new. It's the same movie, cut and paste every single time with very little changing every time. So Transformers 6, I think it's going to be exactly like that. Michael Bay has said, as soon as he made the first one, going into the second one, first one will be my last one. Second will be my last. Third, fourth, fifth. I don't believe him. I think they'll bring him back for 6, and he'll probably finish his saga, I guess we'll have to call it then, of Transformers films, which is a really depressing terminology. In terms of this spin-off, though, the Bumblebee spin-off, I don't think Bumblebee's the best character to do a spin-off on because I'm kind of greedy. I want to see all the main cast. I want to see Optimus Prime. I want to see Ironhide. I want to see all the main core components. But the general premise, going back to 1985, vintage year, the year that Transformers was created, the Iron Giant vibe, and the director, Travis Knight, of Kubo and the Two Strings, which was one of my favorite films from last year, all sound very promising. And hopefully, if this does take off, then it could be the start of a new franchise set in the 80s for the Transformers. I know it's still going to be a prequel and tie into Michael Bay's franchise, but I think they're going to try and keep this as distant as they can. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that tone based on the director and the year that it's going to be set in. Now, it might still have all the hokey comedy. I don't know who they're getting to write this thing. If they get Roberto Orci and Alex Kurtzman again, then it's just going to be an absolute train wreck. But that spin-off I'm looking forward to. And I guess we better get used to these spin-offs because didn't they say that Hasbro have got 14 different Transformers-related ideas, whether that's going to be a G.I. Joe crossover at some point in the future where you'll get your beloved Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson involved with this franchise. However many more Transformers films or spin-offs, I don't know. But in terms of Transformers 6, don't give a shit. In terms of the spin-off with set in the 80s, I'm looking forward to it. Or I'm optimistic, I guess.
We need a crossover with Fast and the Furious films and the Transformers. There you go. You know you want that. You can't deny it.
Let's move.
The whole world would watch that.
I am interested in.
Precisely. Get going, Universal.
But if Tyrese meets his character from each franchise, then won't that like implode the universe? Like it would be like a whole Back to the Future type thing.
No, it would be like Fargo, where Ewan McGregor plays 2 characters.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you've got this all worked out. I think you should call it.
I do. I should ring them and write them. They're probably that bad they'd actually let me write one. But we all know that if I wrote it, it would be absolutely outstanding.
It would. You know what? I would love to read your script for a Transformers films because I guarantee it would be better than a Michael Bay produced one.
First of all, the chat doesn't want a Transformers Fast and Furious.
Well, they are wrong.
Let it get to space first, okay? Let Fast and Furious 10 or whatever get to space, and then we can introduce Cybertron and the Transformers.
There's nothing left for Fast and Furious except the Great Wall of China.
The battle of which franchise can be the dumbest. It really is.
I'm a fan of Fast and Furious now.
I just want to shut my head off, go to the cinema, take in the amazing surround sound, the IMAX, the giant screen, and watch a film that was designed to switch your brain off and think like a moron for a couple of hours. That's how I like.
Go watch Baywatch.
For Transformers, no.
You enjoyed Baywatch, Tate,
I enjoyed Baywatch because I was just
switched your head off.
I switched my head off and just sat there giggling.
Precisely. That's what I do with Transformer films. That's what I do with Fast and Furious films. Cross over them. I mean, I like my Oscar films, but in summer I like my summer films. In winter I like my Oscar films.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, moving on to Marvel news. Funnily enough,
again.
Chris Hemsworth confirms there are more villains than Thanos in Infinity War. I'm assuming this is Adam Savage.
Adam Savage? Adam Warlock, do you mean?
Adam Warlock.
Hashtag Adam Savage in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, folks.
That was bad, sorry.
I don't think it's Warlock. He didn't say who. There was a big event where he was at this week, and apparently he literally just said it, that there's more villains than Thanos. That could mean anything.
Does that mean it's Loki?
Well, we know Loki's... Oh, no, I hope he doesn't make it past Thor 3.
He will. He will.
Of course he will, but...
He's the only good villain in the entirety of the Marvel
I would like Thanos to kill Loki, given their history.
If Baron Zemo manages to get out of that prison thing which he's in, that would be decent.
Love Baron Zemo, underrated villain.
I think at this point... I mean, we knew what was coming with Infinity War. We know we're going to pretty much have every single hero character that's been established so far in the MCU. But we've seen this problem before when you have too many villains. Going back to Sony, it's always unfocused, and I don't think the MCU has done a good job so far of establishing Thanos. Yes, he's cropped up here and there before, but they haven't really established him as a threat. They've got 2 parts to do this film in, so maybe it will work if like each one of these films is like 2.5 hours.
I just want him to whatever it is. Appear on screen and just kill someone immediately.
Which he will do in this film.
He will do.
I think it's
He will kill a few.
It really is, because I think we said this in last week, but all he's done so far really is just steal a glove.
Sit on the chair.
Sit on the chair, exactly. I don't think we need more than one villain. I think Thanos is big enough to carry it. Maybe we'll have henchman characters. That's fine. That's part and parcel with these kind of films. But we've already got, like, I think Scarlett Johansson's teased that there's going to be an action scene featuring 30 plus Marvel characters in one scene, which is ridiculous. I don't think I've ever heard of a film that's had that big of an ensemble together, and you've got to divide all the screen time with each other. If you're going to introduce more villains that you've got to set up and focus on as well, it's too much. So I would just focus on Thanos and have all the other
Just wait
heroes.
for Expendables 4, Chris. You'll have 30 old action stars.
It's not happening now. It's not happening now, at least not with Sylvester Stallone, which is a crying shame because I would have loved another one of those films to redeem.
Dude, no. There's a Korean remake of Rambo, so they can just add him in instead.
I'd watch it. Do you guys have anything to say on Infinity War? Shall we move on to that?
Let's move on.
Just, I hope it's good. The last bits of news are kind of like dead. The new Saw film, Saw 8, 9, 10. I genuinely don't know. 8. Saw 8 has been retitled to Jigsaw, as Chris said before we hit record.
Hashtag Logan.
Yes, precisely. Take stole my words. Wow, Saw's still a thing. That's all I've got to say.
There's been an image released too with the logo on. It's kind of the red swirl that's on the side of the doll's cheek, the Billy the Puppet doll. I've never talked about these films before, but I will in October when Saw 8, or as it's now called, Jigsaw, comes out. I love the Saw films. Now, past the first one, they do resort to just becoming torture porn, the word that's thrown around a lot. But I liked the story. I liked the overarching story. And for an anthology of horror films, the story actually was pretty good, how it all interconnected. You had flashbacks going back, like a flashback in the 5th film that tied back to the first film. I thought it was really creative. Saw 7, which was the last one, was abysmal. And that was called Saw: The Final Chapter. That came out. I kind of swept that under the rug. And however many years later now, I think it's set 7 years after, it might actually be in real time. We get another one. I'm looking forward to it. Tobin Bell's coming back as Jigsaw. However, I can't remember. I think the writer of this film did Piranha 3 Double D. So we're really bringing in the talent here, folks. It's probably going to be awful, but I love the Saw films. And sadly, I was never old enough to go and see one in the cinema. I was even planning to like sneak into the cinemas at some points when these films were coming out because I liked them that much and always looked forward to the next one. Now I'm 24. I'll finally be old enough to go and see a Saw film in the cinema, and it will probably be awful. But I'm looking forward to it nonetheless.
Moving on, I guess. I don't. Like I say, Chris is our Saw man. Also, you can't spell Jigsaw without Saw or Jigsaw.
Exactly.
How they want to call it, Saw rates.
Mm-hmm.
Triple X 4 is officially happening. Film that I'm yet to see that I kind of wanted just because of Donnie and Triple X 3. Triple X 3 came back after like a 15-year hiatus or whatever. Did well at the box office. Come out in January. Was a super hit. Made about $350 million worldwide. Not bad for an old franchise. Obviously, they're getting that money from Vin Diesel being, Dominic Toretto still. People probably thought it was a Fast and Furious film. Love to see Donnie in a Fast and Furious now. I've thought about it. But, yeah, the Triple X 4 is happening.
I haven't seen any of the Triple X films, and I didn't see Return of Xander Cage. It seemed very strange that they're bringing this franchise back, but I guess it's partly to do with Fast and Furious franchise. Vin Diesel being somewhat of a big deal now, although I've always described him as a poor man's action hero. I really don't have anything to say on this. If the other one was a hit, I'm not surprised we're getting a fourth one.
Okay, I don't care about that franchise at all. Let's talk about another franchise that no one cares about. Pitch Perfect 3, guys. Oh man, if I wasn't such a fan of Anna Kendrick, this is the only films that I will not watch her in.
Pitch Perfect. Go on, sorry.
I'd pay to watch this if Fat Amy got like burned on a fire in it, and it wasn't acting, it was real.
Oh I've never seen any of them. Pitch Perfect 3 is wrapped. That'll do it for our movie news, folks. Moving on to the next section. Trailer talk. We've still got quite a lot of trailers to get through, so we're going to keep this really, really quick. So first trailer or featurette, I guess we need to talk about. Me and George haven't watched this because we're very similar. We want to just watch the film. Keep away from the making of. Blade Runner 2049 featurette.
Okay. So basically, they show a lot more of the cinematography, which still looks absolutely stunning. And they show a bit of behind the scenes of how they filmed the cinematography going into it and how they were trying to mimic the cinematography from the previous film, but also set you in a new setting. They didn't stay specifically on Mars, but they kind of hinted that it was going to be on the red planet. And after that, they talked a bit about like some of the new characters they were introducing, and they didn't talk about anything specific to the characters. They talked more about bringing the actors on board. So Ryan Gosling saying he was so proud of the work they'd done in the film, and he really enjoyed being on set. Jared Leto said that the performances from everyone from what he had seen was phenomenal, and they really wanted to get it almost as closely related to the original film as possible. They were talking to the art director about some of the costumes they were using and trying to get a feeling like the world has moved on from the first film, but at the same time have something very familiar. So a lot of the set piecing, a lot of the CGI and effects used are based off the first film, taken into the next decade or next generation, which is really interesting to kind of hear. They didn't show anything stupendously new other than more cinematography. They didn't reveal any more lines or anything like that. They didn't reveal any more of the plot. But so far, this film is shaping up to be really good, and I'm really excited to go and see it. Everything from I've heard from it so far has just been brilliant. And I'd be happy to see this tomorrow. I really would, and can't wait until it comes out. Wednesday.
I'd quite like to do a react October, I think it is. I can't wait to do a react. Well, I'm looking forward to doing a reaction to this, but I've got in hot water with the Blade Runner company before. I can't remember the company that making the film. Is it Sony doing it? I don't even know. They didn't like my trailer reaction to trailer 2, so I'm very wary about doing a 4-minute featurette where I'm pretty much just going to be sitting in silence and just soaking the whole thing in. Next trailer we need to talk about is Annabelle 2, or as it's now titled, Annabelle 2 Creation. So I love the Conjuring films. I didn't see the first Annabelle film. When it came out, the reactions to it were really kind of awful, so I stayed away from it. Also, the Annabelle doll kind of gets an origin story at the beginning of the first Conjuring film anyway. Here we are with a sequel. The first one did well enough, and what concerns me the most is there's a caption in this trailer that says, "Prepare for the next chapter in the Conjuring universe." clearly it is now. We're getting a Crooked Man film, we're getting a Nun film, and we're getting a third Conjuring film down the line. So I guess it kind of is at this point. This trailer started off really interestingly, and I was looking forward to it. It looked very much in keeping with the style of Conjuring, the pace of it, the kind of tone that James Wan sets with those films. And then it hit the midpoint of the trailer, and it just completely devolved into every generic horror film you get now. Completely telegraphed jump scares that don't scare you at all. You can see them coming a mile off. Really hilarious scenes of people sitting in a chair and then like being flung up towards the ceiling. Really hokey stuff that we've seen a million times in horror films before and not done well here. And also at the end, there's a scene where a little girl goes to this big stone well, which you can't see down, and then the girl comes out of it, which is just completely like The Ring. There's nothing original about this film. There was one good scare in it, which was ruined by the jump scare, where you've got this creepy girl tapping on the window and she kind of looks like she's part human, part doll. And then she turns around with a CGI screamo face like you're playing a scary maze game on the internet. Probably won't go and see this one. Depends if there's anything else out that's this week. But yeah, not looking forward to Annabelle 2.
True story. Everyone knows I hate horror films, but I have seen The Conjuring 1, and I shut myself and didn't like it. But that's a sign it's a good horror film. I don't watch many of them, but I've already seen the best horror film of all time, so what's the point of watching the other ones?
Yeah.
Next trailer, which I can actually talk about, and so can Tate.
Yes.
Detroit. For those that don't know, this is the new Catherine Bigelow film based on the Detroit riots in 1967, and it's starring John Boyega in the lead role. This is a film that I obviously I'm a Star Wars fan. I've got him on Twitter, all the social medias. He tweeted a lot during filming, as he often does, obviously with some projects, and he was talking about this is a big film. This is going to be a good film. It's the first time I've seen a trailer for it, and my gosh, that trailer is so intense. It felt like a Catherine Bigelow. It felt like that opening scene of Hurt Locker, but as a trailer, in a good way. That I feel that when I go watch the film in the cinema, it comes out in August, but I feel that this could be, this could be it for one or two things during Oscar season if it's as good as it looks.
It really does look very well acted and very well directed. And aside from the fact that John Boyega is one of the hottest people in Hollywood right now to keep an eye on, like, it does look like a powerful film, and it conveys across a powerful message. I don't know much about the Detroit riots. I really don't. But that trailer made me want to go and do a bit more research on them. It had me interested and had me hooked. A lot of Oscar season films had trailers coming out this week, which surprised me because it is really early for them to come out. I was expecting them to come out maybe in 2 months' time or so. But a lot of films coming out where they're putting like the Academy Award winning like names, Academy Award nominee, Academy winner, and stuff like that coming up. But this film could be an underdog going into the Oscar season, and I wouldn't mind seeing it.
I didn't see this trailer, so I kind of left it to you guys. So it sounds interesting. I'll definitely give the trailer a watch at some point. Tate, me and you could talk about the next one. So
Yes.
Thank You for Your Service, which is the new film by Mark Webb, director of 500 Days of Summer. Both one of our favorite romantic films of all time. I think you actually put it at number 1 on your list, didn't you? I put it on 2 on mine.
Thank You for Your Service was not directed by the same person directing. No.
500 Days of Summer, wasn't it?
No,
oh, sorry.
wrong director.
No, looking at the wrong thing. My bad.
You're thinking
The
about
Only Living Boy in New York.
New York. Yeah.
Yes, my bad.
That's been out this week by the same director.
Believe it or not, guys, I actually have a plan in front of me right here.
It's
yes, sorry. The Only Living Boy in New York, Mark Webb's new film.
Yes.
I'd only heard about this literally before we were going to go live, and we had to kind of watch all these trailers before jumping on. This looks really good. Now, I don't obviously it won't be as good as 500 Days of Summer. That film was just really something special to me. But I like the premise of this film, and it looks like it's going to be kind of the whole comedy of errors type thing. But it's also got a very interesting take on it in that the main character sees that his dad's possibly having an affair with this woman played by Kate Beckinsale. And then through happenstance, he's kind of thrown into a whirlwind relationship with her. Also alongside this, he's friend zoned by this girl that he does like, and through this relationship he's having with this fiery woman, she's getting increasingly jealous. So it looks like it's all going to come to a head by the end of the film.
What we have here is the Reverse Graduate. It's the perfect case of the Reverse Graduate, and I love The Graduate. It's a phenomenal film. I love the premise of it as well. It was one of those films where you kind of watching it growing up, and then you appreciate it more when you're a bit older. But yeah, I mean, I love 500 Days of Summer. Brilliant film, in my top 5 films of all time. I don't know about this film.
Okay.
it didn't feel like it had the same kind of vibe as 500 Days of Summer. It's another thing that I saw when I saw the trailer for Gifted, his other film coming out. 500 Days of Summer was kind of, there was a disconnect between reality and expectations seen from the film. Even in a scene where they literally have reality and expectations on side by side, and it perfectly sums up what that film is all about. Like, the reality is your expectations won't always come through. I don't get that vibe from this film. I really don't. I need to see more of it to be convinced. But yeah, I wasn't completely overwhelmed by it, of which I should be with, like, the director of one of my favorite films.
It's got my interest, and Kate Beckinsale's in the movie, so that is no bad thing, unless it's an underworld film. Okay, now we move on to Thank You for Your Service, which is a very different film.
Completely different. You're going from a possible rom-com dark comedy to an outright PTSD film.
Yeah. Miles Teller, Rise of American Sniper. Visually, it looks almost identical to American Sniper, dealing with some very similar issues as well, although I'd say the PTSD thing's ramped up slightly more in this. It looks fine. It looks like a film I've seen a million times in terms of the war genre, but it looks like it's done well. Some of the cinematography is really nice, and Miles Teller looks genuinely really good in it.
Are we going to get Miles Teller's first nominee in awards, or...?
I don't know if it'll go so far as to get nominated. It does look like a great performance, though. It probably will be one I see, but it's going to be like one of those really heavy-going films that I'll probably, like American Sniper, that I'll only watch once and then, not forget about.
With American Sniper, I just can't get past the fake baby.
Yeah, hopefully there's no fake babies in Thank You for Your Service. It'd be pretty great if it was. So do you want to talk about the new Netflix movie coming out, To the Bone, starring Keanu Reeves?
Do I? We were having a debate about this film before we started recording. This film is about, obviously, a person who comes down with some kind of muscular dystrophy illness and starts to become thinner and has to move out of their house and move to a place where people are suffering from similar diseases affecting muscles and bones. And the one thing that I said to you before the start was that I want to see her kind of look like the machinist kind of end of the spectrum. If you've got a person who is dealing with a disease such as muscular dystrophy and you're meant to be doing an accurate portrayal, I want to see the complete end of the spectrum. I want to see the absolute worst case scenario. And sadly, even if this is based off a true story, this doesn't, the actress doesn't look like she's in the worst case scenario. She doesn't look like she's putting everything on the line to do this role, which makes it seem like the acting role is coming off a little bit cheap. And I know that you can't get a method actor into every single role possible, but I feel like it would have been a more effective trailer if you'd gone to the very extreme and had this actress like put herself on the line for a film about a good cause. Because otherwise it seems like it's coming off cheap. They're not fully invested in the role. She does go thinner in the film and in the trailer. You are able to see bones, but I'm not suffering from any sort of disease or illness, and I'm quite thin still. But you can't. Yeah, it's difficult. It's a difficult one.
I don't know. I think she does get very thin in the trailer, but I understand what you mean. If you want to see it go even further,
if you have a look at the picture of her in the trailer and you put it side by side with a picture of Christian Bale and the Machinist, there is a complete difference there, and you can't deny it. So maybe it would have been better to have a person perform the whole end of the spectrum instead of maybe going half to three-quarters of the way there.
Yeah, this kind of reminded me of like a John Green novel, kind of like The Fault in Our Stars kind of thing, how it's going to go in that her doctor, played by Keanu Reeves, is kind of telling her to just take life as it comes, just have fun while she can, go out there, live life. It's going to have a positive message, but we know that ultimately it's going to have a very sad outcome. I just love Keanu Reeves. I guess I'm still on a John Wick 2 hype. I love the man. He's incredible. He's always kind of the same. He's not technically a great actor, but he's a very likable actor. So maybe I'll check this out. I don't have Netflix, though. So I don't know how I'm going to be able to check this one out when it comes out. I actually don't know when it comes out. I'm assuming it's some point later this year. I'll see if I can find one to get to.
Films, they're usually out pretty soon after the trailer goes up. Yeah.
Okay.
Although, what was the one from last month? the one about the meat production.
Yeah, the Cannes one. That's going to come out soon, I think.
Yeah.
I'm actually back. Sorry, I haven't seen any of these trailers.
So we feel like we're leaving you out here, but it's
no,
just because you didn't
it's
get around to
fine.
watching them.
It's the one that caused the drama at Cannes. That's out soon. I think that's the good thing with Netflix. Their first ever film was Beast of a Nation, which was, to me, one of the best films of that year. It's absolutely stunning. Idris should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor for that film. And they're a company that they're now at this stage where they made 5 Adam Sandler films or got a contract. Their audience is so big, they will go greenlight a film they know will be shit like an Adam Sandler film because it'll get views, and they'll greenlight good films. And they're also balls. They're a ballsy company, and I'd like them to keep doing this because it is doing. They've got the money to fund these ideas that companies aren't going to take risks on because it's so easy just to put it online on Netflix. And it's such a safe thing for them to do, and it enables people to go out and do things which hasn't been done.
Yeah, there was the John Boyega film that came out last month called Imperial Dreams, which got from people. It's a strange one. A lot of reviewers who are very kind of cinema snobs, like anything that isn't in the cinema or isn't a film or stuff like that, like made-for-TV movies can't be good. They hated it, but everyone else overwhelmingly loved it. The audience loved it. A lot of critics who like also review TV shows loved it, but the people who solely focus on films and are kind of anti-Netflix, anti-streaming services obviously didn't like it just because it was a streaming service, but everyone else, all the rest of people loved it.
And
so
I think
it didn't the film Cannes, it got booed by a lot of people.
They booed it. I mean, Cannes is famous for booing at the end of a film, but they booed the beginning when the Netflix logo came up. And it was accidentally played at the wrong aspect ratio because conspiracy theorists, Cannes was pathetic the way they treated it. If a film's coming out on Netflix, it's fine. The Imperial Dreams of John Boyega, I think he said it was filmed 2 years ago. They couldn't find a distributor. Obviously, this is the great thing. He's took on his Star Wars role, and you know, you've got the world at your hand. Biggest franchise of all. He's money, and he's doing these interesting projects that are going to attract people to it. Troy looks stunning, and not me, I would have seen it anyway, but you'll probably get Star Wars fans going to watch it because it's John Boyega. And there's a combination there. Attack the Block, I loved that when that came out. That's a cult film. People have gone back to that over the last few years. He's just doing a stage play right now in London called Wojciech. People go into that because it's John Boyega. I mean, this is a talented kid. He knows what he's doing. He's set up his own production company now. He's going to be around for a long time. He's a clever person. But Netflix is opening these doors to things that aren't possible 5 years ago. And that's a good thing, not just for film, but for TV, for cinema as a whole, and the industry. Some people don't like it. That's fine. It just shows how backhanded and old-fashioned they are. And they'll end up getting replaced by people that are tech-savvy, that do like this instant stuff.
Change will come. It will just take time. It's like the whole motion capture thing in terms of the Oscars at the minute. There's still a big hoo-ha about that. But over the years, change will definitely come. And Netflix is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger with all the shows and the movies they're putting out. 2 other trailers to talk about really quickly. American Assassin starring Michael Keaton. He looks like he's kind of part of some Secret Service type thing. It looks like a spy espionage film. Lots of action, lots of gunplay, and many, many shots of walking away in slow motion from explosions. That's really all I can say about it. It doesn't look that great, but I'm a huge mark for Michael Keaton, so I'd like that he's getting more projects like this, and he could absolutely do another Batman film given the chance. Never going to happen. Would love to see it, though.
I like the music in that trailer. They used, what was it, Uncle in Japan, The Answer. Or is it Big Uncle in Japan in The Answer? I discovered that song ages ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, and I thought, no one's ever going to use that song. It's a great song for a trailer. No one's ever going to use that song, and it finally came on, and that had me more excited maybe about the trailer than the trailer itself.
Yeah.
It makes me say it looks like it's going to be a decent film. And I mean, it's the choice of music in a trailer can sometimes win you over. For example, I mean, Murder on the Orient Express, terrible, like good film concept, terrible music at the end of the trailer. Makes me think twice about that film. The first Logan trailer, possibly one of the greatest trailer we've had in a few years now, and that was helped on by the music and the choice of music. So yeah, music makes a trailer or breaks a trailer.
Absolutely. And the final trailer we have to talk about today in our trailer breakdown, or trailer section, whatever we call this section, Stronger, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. This is another film based on the Boston Marathon bombings. Looks like it's done with a kind of different angle compared to Patriots Day that we had with Mark Wahlberg. This looks like the film is dealing with the fallout of that event rather than the actual event itself. The event is serving as a backdrop and as a foundation for this character, based on a true story, I believe, as well. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, obviously the Bobby, but I mean the character at hand it's talking about. Gyllenhaal is probably one of the best actors working today. Seriously incredible. If anyone hasn't seen Nightcrawler, please, for the love of God, check that out. And oh God, what was the film he made with Amy Adams?
Nocturnal Animals.
Nocturnal Animals, another great film. He is a draw for me now as an actor. I think he's outstanding, and it looks like this is going to be another role exactly like that. He plays a character who is double amputee, loses both of his legs during that event, and he's trying to deal with this through all the rigorous hours that he's having to try and adjust to this, his family life, how he has to adapt to his life. It looks like it's going to be a very emotional film, very hard-hitting film, and Jake Gyllenhaal is absolutely the actor to do that.
I think you said this before we started as well, but he does look like he's got different makeup. His face looks completely different in this film.
Yeah.
To what you're normally seeing from Jake Gyllenhaal. Like, I've never seen him look like this before. But yeah, the acting in the actual trailer alone could have been like a roll tape for the Oscars just played up. I could see that immediately.
Hopefully he'll actually be nominated for something this time, because he wasn't. I don't believe he was nominated for Nightcrawler.
Aaron Taylor-Johnson got it in Nightcrawler.
Should have been him. Should have been
Nightcrawler. What's it called? Nocturnal Animals.
Michael Shannon as well got nominated too, and he was great in that film. Should have been Gyllenhaal, though. He deserved to get some look in because he was absolutely phenomenal in that film.
Nightcrawler is probably one of the most underrated performances of the last 10 years, I'd say.
I'd compare that to like Anthony Perkins from Psycho or something. That was like really chilling performance from Gyllenhaal. But yeah, that concludes our trailer talk. So, George, to you with the box office breakdown.
Yeah, we are on the last bit, people. This is very long today. This is almost as long as our Transformers 1 to 4 reviews. Jesus Christ. However, I don't think I'm as tired, and I hope you aren't too.
No.
Right, so we're going to discuss the box office from last week. And I guess the main thing, although it's Thursday and we do have a preview for this weekend, last weekend in America, obviously not England because it's not, Cars 3 debuted at number 1 with a 53 million opening weekend. It dethroned Wonder Woman after 2 weeks at the top. But ironically, it's the lowest opening weekend of the car franchise to date. Don't really have anything else to say on that. Wonder Woman was always going to get dethroned. This is Pixar, and we haven't seen the film, so we can't say anything about it. So move on to the one that people actually like.
Yes.
Wonder Woman drops number 2. It got 41 million in its third weekend. That is absolutely stunning in terms of its drop-off points. It's the 4th best weekend for a superhero film in its third weekend. That sounds really, really bizarre, but essentially the only films above it, I think, are Dark Knight Rises, and The Avengers, which isn't in terms of stature of the film. You've got one film that's been built up for 6 films first, and then you've got 2 sequels, which were both amazing in their own right.
Do you think they might prolong the release then of the film? Like, keep it on for an extra week or so?
Oh, it'll keep on until it drifts off. I mean, this will stay on longer than, obviously, this will stay on longer than most films out. I'd say in another month, maybe around Comic-Con, they might put it back in for a couple of days after the trailer, but they tend to eventually fizzle out. I mean, Rogue One officially finished in April, its run, and that was the month the Blu-ray came out. So Wonder Woman, it's going to have steam, but it will obviously drop off so much eventually that it's picking up maybe $100,000 a week.
It's that rewatchability we've talked about. I mean, it was just I came out of that movie just saying, like, I would go and watch that again. And even for
I've seen it
in general now, it's very rare I go and see a film twice now just because we have to see so many for each week. But after coming out of Wonder Woman, I said I could realistically see myself going back and watching that movie again.
Exactly. And also, it's at 575 mil worldwide, and it's going to cross 600 today or tomorrow, which is going to put it, I think, 5th of the year, but it's probably going to overtake Pirates and go into 4th, and maybe, I don't know if it will get to Guardians on 800. For a debut for a kind of original film, it's her first solo outing, absolutely stunning box office, and we sat here on week 1 saying, okay, this could hit 700 to 800. I think we're going to comfortably get into that figure. It's going strength to strength, and when we get to the box office preview, I will be mentioning why Wonder Woman will actually probably be fine. Next up from Wonder Woman, we've got the two-pack biopic called All Eyes on Me debuted at number 3, and it got 26 million, which was more than they thought it would do. However, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know Tupac's music. I did love Straight Outta Compton. I've liked the NWA since I was younger. That was a fantastic, absolutely stunning film, and I knew straight away off the back of that, okay, they're going to start doing biopics for rappers now because this made a lot of money and was very good receptionist. Not in a bad way. It'd be nice to see these films, but don't cash in, because Straight Outta Compton was a story that Ice Cube produced. He wanted to tell this story, and it worked, whereas this is a cash in. And I haven't seen All Eyes on Me. I'm not going to see it when it comes out in England because it looks absolutely awful. And it's caused a lot of drama, behind the scenes stuff. Jada Pinkett Smith, she was originally close with Tupac. Apparently she's depicted horrible and she wants to try and sue them. But the best thing I've read about this film, although it's set in the 90s, Tupac has an iPhone 7.
I've just read that on the plan. That's absolutely amazing.
That is just bad.
It's expensive to get tech from that generation.
Quick point. Are they going with the whole he's still alive thing?
I don't know. They want to cash in, so they probably would do that to make a second film, wouldn't they?
I mean, I still haven't seen Straight Outta Compton. It's a film that it was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think. I do need to catch up on that one, but I did get into Tupac's music last year, and phenomenal musician. I'm sure we'll probably get like a genuinely good biopic at some point with Tupac, but All Eyes on Me doesn't sound like it is that at this point.
Especially when they're spelling eyes wrong.
Yes. Well, they have to put a Z on it because it's gangster, isn't it? Gosh. The next bit, the Mummy dropped to number 4 at the American box office with 14 mil, 293 mil worldwide. That's more than doubled its budget back. It is a hit. Tom Cruise is doing wonders internationally as usual. Terrible film.
I think I saw that this might stand to lose Universal 90 million. I don't know where they got that figure from. I did see that figure thrown out there.
I think the issue was that because it tanked in America, as usual, the bigots think that America's the only country that actually has films grossed over there. This is done ridiculously. I think The Mummy's on like 70. No, this was its second weekend. Mummy's grossed like 60 million in America, and it's on like 200 worldwide. It's absolutely insane.
We're going to get more of these Dark Universe movies. I mean, they're disappointed clearly with the reception of The Mummy.
What I really would have loved is The Mummy making back barely any money and them having to do low budget Dark Universe movies.
Oh my god, yes.
Like really low budget, like think Eraserhead kind of low budget.
It's like Edward kind of movies.
Yeah. They would be, would they not be better?
They'd be awesome.
We wouldn't get a purple Russell Crowe though.
You do the line better than me, so I'll let you have it.
I'm gonna wait. I'm only joking. Welcome to a new world of gods and monsters.
I love how that's become like we do a better job of making that a meme on our channel than they did in their own cinematic universe, which is quite amazing.
Exactly. We are their merchant. We're the only people that's giving this a mouth of word with memes. Memes of word. It's a new thing. But no, The Mummy, crap film. Next up, Pirates. I don't even know the domestic. It's dropped off obviously, but 651 mil worldwide. Not bad. It's come 4th of the year so far. Obviously, Wonder Woman's going to overtake that in the next fortnight. Doing ridiculously well in China and internationally as expected. But I don't mind that. It's not going to gross as much as the previous 3 films leading up to this one, but it's going to be enough to get that Davy Jones sequel. That's I think what we're all fingers crossed on. So fair play to Pirates. You know, I don't mind the international box office helping out in situations like this. And then that's the box office breakdown. We've got a very quick weekend preview.
Slight confusion last week as to what weekend preview was.
Obviously, because I napped, I couldn't send the latest update, which is on my bad. We piped a Battle of the Brackets, which I will say go and watch. It's my favourite episode to date by a country mile. There were some truly wonderful moments in there. It was brilliant. It's worth watching, especially when you get to the 1 hour mark. Weekend preview this week will be on the... There's not much to preview, in all honesty. All the articles are focused on Transformers.
We have missed one out.
Have we?
Yes, for the weekend, or not really weekend preview, but for the following week, as well as Transformers, we have Baby Driver being officially released on the 28th, Wednesday.
That's next week though, not this like weekend, like tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, not this weekend, but it's before our next news cycle.
Yeah, but we won't know the box office prediction until next Thursday.
True.
But Baby Driver, strong reviews. I will say that. I think I'm going to miss out on our review, but I'll be catching it at a later date because it does. I am actually intrigued by it now. New Edgar Wright film for those that don't know that. And Edgar Wright actually looks like John Wick. Go check his Instagram.
He does.
Right, let's hit the big one. Transformers 5 comes out this weekend. This is a franchise where they're used to like $100 million opening weekends in America. They are big. Everyone watches them. Transformers 5 sits at like 16% of Rotten Tomatoes at the minute, the lowest in the franchise, which saddens me.
Oh, wonderful.
No. We'll get to it. But me as a whole, very quickly, being the one that's seen it, yes, I like Michael Bay films, but as a neutral standpoint, I will say that it's like Pirates 5. The reason it's got worse on its review scores is because it's already, the franchise has died, so the reviews are already harsher than what it would be. People will say it's worse, fair enough, but like Pirates 5, I think this has got a lower score because it reflects the franchise as a whole rather than its individual film. If you're going to draft me, I don't care for that. I liked it, and I'll be, if I'm in on is that, so be it. I'm expected to be that, but it does not belong to sit in the 13, 14%. Some might say that, but this is definitely not the worst film of this franchise to date. But anyway, that's tomorrow. 50 to 65 mil domestic they're predicting is absolutely awful. It's less than half of some of the other Transformers opening weekends. It's going to be the worst debut in its franchise so far. It's showing people are tired. They need to get this expanded universe sorted out. However, this film opens up worldwide this weekend. This is going to open in China. China made $300 million on the last Transformers film. China took it to over $1 billion. If the international film has saved Pirates of the Caribbean and put it in the 600s, Transformers is going to be in the 600s, 700s.
Yeah. It's still going to make a shit ton of money. I mean, it's come out at the right time. The Mummy wasn't a big success, so it's following right after that. It's going to be that huge placeholder. People, for some reason, love going to see these movies, and apparently going to see them multiple times, despite them being close to 3 hours apiece. We're getting that Transformers 6, even if it is the lowest grossing. I mean, Transformers 4 grossed over $1 billion, so even if it's less than that, it's still close to $1 billion. It'll probably get to like 700, 800 maybe. I don't know, but I think international, the international revenue is really going to push this one over the edge.
Definitely.
As far as the Chinese box office, I know it made 300 mil in China last time. Wasn't that because it was partially set in China?
Yeah, there's...
That would have helped it push over. If it isn't set in China in this film, then I don't think it'll make as much money over there.
I think it could, because it introduced them all to Transformers and they clearly loved it. So I think they'll all be flying back. I mean, I don't think Fast and Furious 8 was set there, and that's made like 320 mil over there so far this year. Obviously, they've got The Rock. But this is a film that's going to do stunning over there. It's new to them. I don't know if that's I don't know if that makes me sound like a bad person.
Does that mean that it's going to take another few films for everyone to get tired of it?
Maybe, but Bumblebee might be good and make money in America. Who knows? But yeah, box office, like Pirates, it's not going to gross as much as the others. I think that's expected. Ironically, also the 5th film in the franchise. And
then our last bit is really just what our predictions are for the rest of the weekend lineup. So with assuming that Cars is going to be at number 2, or Cars 3 is going to be at number 2, and Wonder Woman will be holding on at the number 3 place. Wonder Woman's going to eventually drop off, as we said, but it's still doing really well to even still be in the top 3.
When does Cars 3 get released in the UK?
July 14th.
July 14th. Do you think that what's going to happen is, as far as our own domestic box office, maybe even worldwide box office, when it does come out in the UK, do you reckon it might leapfrog back over Transformers?
No, because Planet of the Apes comes out 3 days before.
That might be a problem.
And Dunkirk comes out a week after.
We've also got Despicable Me 3 coming out. Is it next week?
And Spider-Man Homecoming's probably going to clean up for a few weeks.
Yeah.
July is rammed. July's a rammed month.
July is a big month for film, yeah.
But I think that pretty much covers everything, doesn't it? It's very, very like. Can you imagine when we said that we didn't have much news this week, and then we hit the last 2 days?
We
been our
didn't
longest
even
show so far.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about the HBO Watchmen series that's coming out, or the Game of Thrones trailer, which we could have spent another half an hour on each.
Yeah, we absolutely could. That's more TV talk, though. I know sometimes we let it slide with Game of Thrones and things like that, but
what I can say is, we will be reviewing every Game of Thrones episode just like we did last year. We'll be continuing with that. And luckily this year, England's getting it live at 1 a.m. and so I won't be illegally streaming it. I'll be watching it at home in the comfort of my nice bedroom.
Do we think that the first 4 episodes are going to get leaked again, like last
I
time?
would cry.
No, they haven't sent out press copies.
Oh, haven't they? Oh,
No. So sadly, we don't get the 4 episodes early, so we can actually have time to prepare for them.
I'm so
Which
used
is
to the whole
frustrating.
Netflix. I'm so used to the whole Netflix system now, where they just dump all the episodes out there. And it's
Yeah.
like, go watch them, have fun.
It's going to take a lot of patience to get through this season.
It is, but it's going to be a good one.
Not only that, but there were rumors going around that BoJack Horseman may be coming back in July as well.
There's so much to watch, so much. We'll get through it. We will get through it, I promise, guys. But yeah, we've got a lot more reviews, film and TV, coming to the channel. So
And
I guess
I will wrap this up. I haven't really planned my wrap-up outro. This has been one hell of a long episode. If you've done this in one sitting, then I salute you, because this must be about 2 hours now. This has been mentally insane. We will be back next Thursday, of course, with another episode of Cinema Savvy News. I don't have a clue what we're going to be talking about, but I will say straight up, the box office with Transformers is going to be very, very interesting in its own right. And we will be back tomorrow. No, sorry, not tomorrow, sorry. Saturday with a Transformers review. We have a lot of other stuff. We have apparently a Best Picture film coming out on Sunday or Monday. We've got an episode of the Rockathon coming out on Tuesday. We have Tate's thoughts on films coming tomorrow. And Chris's reactions out. Go check out his Game of Thrones reaction. We have so much stuff happening. I don't have an absolute clue. Normally we just say 1 or 2 things, but here I am dawdling. So yes, this has been episode 3 of Cinema Savvy News. I hope you've enjoyed it. Leave us feedback if there's some things you like, some things you don't. Sorry we couldn't talk about TV, but that would literally be like another hour, especially on the TV news. So I'm going to round off. Thank you for listening, and we will be back. Goodbye.